PDP, PDPP. No, wow, yeah, we are, we're live. This is certainly something. But anyways, um, how long is this song? Can I? Do we have 5 minutes or? Ah, wait. Nice. I closed the other thing. Anyways, so I play this and I start this. Okay, there it is. Anyways, a little bit more than two 30 seconds is the song, so I don't know. Anyways, here we are. Hello. Uh, I I finally have gone live, so that's more than enough. I feel so. I, well, not in reality. I should have. No, Ita, no. I couldn't. I was setting everything up, so I couldn't. But anyways, I saw that you were doing art, and I know it is late for you because you had been doing art since almost like 2 hours ago, 4 a.m. Go to fucking sleep, Vita. Go to sleep. But yeah, uh, I hope you have a nice stream, anyways, my brother. And yeah, good morning to you too. I know it isn't morning for you, but yeah, good morning. Uh, Anyways, here we are. After how long? Let me watch that exactly. After all, yeah, since last Sunday, I think it was, there has been no fucking stream. So here we are. Eh? We live almost next to each other. What the fuck are you talking about, Vita? I mean that you you didn't fucking sleep, Vita. You're not awake because oh wow, I just woke up. You're awake because you didn't sleep yet, my brother. That's what I mean. That it isn't the morning for you. It is more like night or evening for you. Vita, don't act coy, as they will say. Um, uh, but yeah, I I don't know. At the very least, we had to hear Vita. Yeah, not really including me because I certainly am not awake at those hours. But yeah, we get to have a little bit of Vita to enjoy in the morning. No, what is it? In the midnight or past midnight. But yeah, I think that is more than enough. I feel like it is already yeah. It is an incredibly good thing to have. If it wasn't for that, I don't think there will be that much more to do. Certainly, having you around has been quite nice. But yeah, anyways, I think I already said it like 5 times. So last time, I hope you had a nice stream. And also, wait, my phone making sounds. Aha, I guess I went live. Anyways, yeah, I don't really have that much more to say. Um, why? Because I needed to change my schedule. Welcome, Savannah. Yeah, I needed to change my schedule myself also. But I think it works better. I think so. So, I. Yeah, we will see. We will see. Don't worry, don't worry. We will see how it goes. As always, hoping that it all goes well. Probably one of the few things that might happen is certainly um, early in the morning, a lot of noise because people from around the globe, no, from around my city, is waking up. So yeah, that's going to be a thing. But besides that, I don't think I have that much more to really, yeah, to really say those terms. I, yeah, I really think it just needs enough patience and that will be good. But yeah, um, here we are. That's more than enough already. Here we are, and with that I am satisfied. Um, but yeah, 10 seconds, 8, 7, anyways. Um, wow, exactly 5 minutes is perfect for the song. I didn't expect that, anyways. So, hello people. Now for real, here we are. It has been quite a long time since the last occasion, and this time for real. But yeah, hi everybody. I I am sorry for not having said anything before. I was trying to organize myself to try and see if we can be here at a more proper time. Not more proper, at a more regular time, because um, the other time slot that I tried to use before ended up really depending on if I had literally not done anything with my with my day. Therefore, I was very tired every single day that I did indeed do something. So that was quite, yeah, I believe quite annoying. And I I needed to change that. So here we are. Literally first thing in the morning. um, Instead of being a stinky gamer, we are here having stream. So that's one way to solve that issue, I guess. But yeah, um, anyways, as always, besides the point, welcome. Hi, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here finally. Um, thanks for everything. And as always, yeah, hello viewers, hello world watchers, hello lurkers, hello everyone. And yeah, to in particular, um, hi Vita and Savannah, Savannah Pure, or well, Vita. Um, anyways, here we are. With that, I am already satisfied. So I don't know. I think mostly what will happen is we're going to test if I can really go that long, and also how much it is going to be interrupted everything, because as I said, there is going to be noise. And for example, something that I am kind of expecting to happen is at some point, even my, yeah, it will be disingenuous to not accept it. My dogs will end up going out and making an incredibly big amount of noise also, because they have that tendency. So we will see how we can deal with all of those um, things. And yeah, I don't know. Um, I know there are also, for example, like the ones that just passed. There are motorcycles and there are some cars that also make noise, um, because they don't have the most silent type of um, engines. So that we are going to see, anyways. The point is to test, let's say like that. The post, the point, sorry, is to try and observe how everything goes with this different time slot. I guess certainly it is quite late in a lot of places, but at the very least here in Argentina, or as in Vita's case in Uruguay también, uh, Uruguay too, sorry, um, it isn't that late, it is more like early in the morning. So it is a nice time to be awake, I feel like. So yeah, we are uh, we are just seeing how all of that works. I feel like, uh, but more to say, I guess. So moving on from that, I don't know. I think I have a lot of stuff that, because as, yeah, as I said before, I haven't really been talking. I I am kind of having a hard time organizing whichever things I want to talk about. I feel like certainly it is a pleasure to stream, and one of the few things that I end up missing is the opportunity to, as we do always here, um, go over different topics that are a lot more, yeah, a lot more particular and a lot more um, born out of my whole interest and all of that. And because it has been, in general, for the past month or so, um, ignoring the exception that was that 1 week that we got to enjoy fully streaming every single day. Besides that, everything else was quite random and quite, what's the word? Haphazardous or something like that, based on a lot of events that were really out of my hands, let's say. And not because it was necessary to do it that way, but certainly I I feel like now um, there is a certain tendency towards ignoring your own quote unquote responsibilities. In this case, um, okay, let's say like this so that it doesn't sound that weird. You can stream or not stream whenever you want, but the final responsibility of doing such a thing lies in your hands because if you don't take it seriously enough, let's say like that, no other thing will really make you go live besides the action of organizing yourself towards streaming. And in this case, um, by having given more priority or having ignored the amount of agency that one has over themselves, in my case, like that, at the very least, I feel, um, I end up really believing that it was quite impossible for me to enjoy, yeah, to enjoy, in this case, um, consistently streaming. After all, it also is quite a nice experience, but if you don't really seek out something like that for yourself, it will be quite impossible for. I mean, I hope it is understandable enough, no? Um, it is something like, as much as you would wish to, there is nothing that is going to really motivate you into go live besides you yourself doing it and setting everything up so that it can happen, let's say. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I I'm just happy that that is kind of my roundabout way to say exactly that. That I am happy with the fact that we are here, and with that I am quite content already. I obviously not like it is going to happen, but if it were to happen, um, if a stream ended right now, I will already be content with the fact that we are slowly making those I feel so needed changes so that we can, in this case, be exist and do what we enjoy without worrying so much. I feel like so. Yeah, um, it takes quite a lot of patience, or it took in reality. No, no, yeah, it takes. Sorry, it takes quite a lot of patience to properly set everything straight so that you can do what you want in this case. But the benefits are already more than noticeable and more than good. I also reckon. But yeah, anyways, that was what I wanted to say. Let's say, in terms of being here and all of that, because certainly it is quite a change. Oh my fucking god! No, wait. I can do this. Ha! And I don't need to do anything else. Amazing. The innovations of Twitch my beloved. But anyways, yeah. As I was saying, well, I mean, quite coincidentally, I literally also ended my point there, so nothing more to really say. But yeah, besides that besides, no, no, I don't know what to say with that. I just I never noticed, for example, yeah, okay, let me say like this. I never noticed that in the pop-up chat version, I don't know which one you use, but in the pop-up chat version there is a tiny what is it? Area that you can click and drag around, and by doing that, and obviously also moving it left to right or left or right, you can do different actions, and that was quite unexpected the first time I saw it, but certainly it is a lot easier to um, maneuver chat, let's say like that, maneuver chat with a lot more comfort and all of that, and I never really saw it coming that there was something like that, but I guess it is still enjoyable, and also obviously bots are going to be unavoidable. I mean, even higher orders of streamers still suffer from them, and at the very least, okay, at the very least, something that we don't have to worry about is being neither view-botted or also even worse, um, having to deal with no, I can't find another word, so inflated numbers, and both of those things are quite damaging to the psyche, I believe so, because after all, you literally need to base yourself around those numbers, and you literally need to guess and to have a, yeah, to base yourself around those things basically. And even if you are not truly basing yourself around them, there are still a lot of differences between somebody who has bigger numbers and somebody who is suffering a lot more because they don't get those, eh, yeah, paradoxically, big numbers, even if they are not real. But if you notice that it is happening to you, that all of those things are indeed fake, and that all of those things are indeed changing, ignoring, okay, all of those things are not trustworthy, let's say like that, um, you end up losing a little bit of your confidence because, after all, it is quite impossible for you to, based only on yourself, completely only on yourself in this case, um, make up the belief that things are going okay when out of nowhere something that you can also, even if it isn't necessary, I think almost everybody, um, something that you can use in some way or another to observe how good or how bad things are going. And that's, I feel like, once again, we don't have to deal with that problem, so that is quite enjoyable, but at the very same time, and even in an even weirder area of this same idea, it isn't because we are not big or not tiny enough. It is simply because we are kind of, in that sense, I guess, lucky. Because there are some people who really believe they are doing some kind of good to you if they boost you with those tools. And it is, I guess it is weird, yeah? but at the very same time, you can kind of understand why it happens. After all, the intention is always kind of the same. If it is born from that side, if it isn't born from a side of, okay, I want to ban this one streamer, I want to get them off the platform, and I want to remove them completely altogether. Um, no, not from that side. If it is an idea born out of the, I just want to give somebody the opportunity of, let's say, yeah, I mean, there are not other words, making it. If you are trying to go for something like that, you end up quite necessarily needing make them, to make them, to give them those chances. You will believe, and in that case, you might you might truly make up the idea that, if nobody really notices, I will I will slowly but surely um, inflate those numbers and make them look bigger than what they really are in nature. Because, in my case, only I know. And also, if I do it slowly enough, nobody's even going to be capable of recognizing such a thing. So, why don't I, that had already deciphered the perfect way, do my thing without worrying and enjoy the benefits of making my dear streamer bigger, even if they don't realize that. But, well, I don't think Twitch is really that capable of dealing with bots, sadly, because also, yet there are other behaviors in the way of considering bots and such that should be quite necessarily considered as but okay, even if it doesn't sound right, I believe it this way. Brain dead behaviors, let's say them, and these type of behaviors, even if they are not performed by bots, the people who engage in them are, mm, at least on my perception, not that different from them. So you can observe already that there is a part of Twitch that could also get filtered if the filters were to be set strongly enough. That's also partially why it is such a problem to deal with bots and all of that, because you are not really solving an issue that can be fully patched just by thinking about machines. There are some other um, changes or um, modifications that need to be done in order to avoid any possible iteration of bots that later on end up being just an annoying white noise in the whole transmission of information that is streaming itself. And I mean, yeah, thinking about it also, not only it is weird to have bots, but also you have things like those so-called um, view farms, I think it is. And it gets incredibly weird once you remember that there are people literally with 20 different phones trying to play the role of somebody who isn't a bot, who is quote unquote a lurker. Um, all of them focused on boosting those numbers, and obviously for the sake of earning some money. And I guess it sounds strange because nobody lives in that situation, but after all, I wouldn't. I believe it doesn't seem that weird once you consider that certainly it is quite possible for anybody to do stuff like that on the first hand, after all having 20 different phones, as long as you are not always carrying them with you, isn't that impossible? I I don't know exactly if 20, but maybe 10 or maybe 5 are already a beginning in terms of with that amount of money that you got those phones, you might as well get a PC. And if you really have no need for a personal computer, you might very well be doing a quote unquote proper investment in phones. After all, you also have, yeah, there is certainly a bigger market for phones and all of that in terms of I bought one and I want to later on sell it um, back into the market because I personally don't need it anymore. Uh, or the one that I have has grown obsolete, or I want to change my phone, whichever reason is it. Um, you just have the possibility of changing phones. You just have the possibility of, um, in that case, believing that it is going to be a wise investment, let's say. After all, we nowadays we value a lot what is the whole idea of having a phone and such. So you can't really say, wow, this makes no sense whatsoever. Why would anybody in particular want to have X amount of phones working all for this? But yeah, I guess it is just that we don't really believe it will be possible for anybody to do like that in our vicinity of people we know, I guess. But it doesn't really take that much to make such changes or to go for those things. The point was, anyways, um, there are a lot of things that happen similar to that. I mean, also you have. I wouldn't know how easy it will be to perform something of this sort, but you also have those different devices. I don't know exactly which type of networks are they. I think they are zombie networks, or um, I know that the devices themselves are zombies in the hijacked networks. Those that how is it that it works? I don't exactly remember right now. Basically, there is something that could happen to any particular device that gets connected to infected yeah networks of internet, or yeah, go to sleep, Vita. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. I know already. I told you that it is late. Go fucking sleep, Vita. Um, don't worry. Um, a good one. And thank you for being here. Anyways, um, but yeah, as I was saying, there are some networks in computer, not in computer in general, in different devices. There are some types of networks that you can utilize to infect other devices with sleeping. Yeah, with an sleeping agent that whenever you want you can control. And these type of networks are mostly utilized to make up later on what are the biggest type of DDoS attacks, or denegation of service attacks, basically the same. Um, and all of those things can be also, I guess, used to try and boost numbers, but once again, this doesn't only include um, computers. This also includes literally anything that can have a connection to internet, ranging from some very weird printers to also, I, I, I think nowadays even refrigerators have even refrigerators have fucking internet connection. So yeah, all of those things, whichever one they are, can get connected to internet, and by doing that, you can. if you infect them, you can probably make use of them to, um, once again, inflate the numbers. But I don't think it is that common. I will probably say, not probably, so I believe that probably what what happens in those terms is or the biggest type of bots that you will get are from there. The biggest, the highest degree of bots that you might ever imagine are directly from those places and not from anywhere else. Because um, I don't, yeah, I wouldn't say that it is that easy to set up 5,000 phones, even if you have simple maths, no? Even if you have 20 different phones that you could manage with one person, you will still need like 200 different persons. No, two, yeah, 200, 200 and 250, no, 205, 2500, I think so, something like that, to get to an extra 5,000 faked viewers. That is the average around the highest type of boostings that you can get once again. And those things are quite impossible to obtain if you, even if you have that much amount of people, because there is no factory or no office or whichever place they use to organize themselves to deal with these problems, you know? But no, no. Welcome, Sharko. No, no, not five. The point was, even if you had 5,000 people working, not 5,000, 5,000 faked viewers, you will still need 250 people doing the work of setting up all of those phones. And that will really require an organization that isn't truly, yeah, isn't truly possible to have that much in nowadays society. I believe so. I That's why I end up going with the idea, or I prefer to believe that there isn't that many people being exploited in those jobs, but rather that they are once again using those zombie networks or devices that had been set up to work as zombies in whichever type of DDoS attack it is needed. In this case, also, I mean, it is partially the same idea as um, when there were a lot of different devices that ended up being discovered as miners for a lot of Bitcoin and such, and not Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and such, that all of those things ended up being used. Because certainly it isn't that hard to just use, let's say, 20% extra RAM. Most people don't even recognize what is 20% extra or 20% less. They, yeah, in this world, you can pretty much take control of almost half of a PC, and they wouldn't even realize because they don't use that many functions. The average person knows YouTube, knows Netflix, and at best, they also know about, yeah, social medias in general, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, um, and the content consuming platforms that also is nowadays. I think it is YouTube, Hulu. Well, Hulu, what the fuck? Um, YouTube, Netflix, Amazon. After all, yeah, Hulu, Disney Plus, and all of those things. And besides that, you might have people who knows about Steam, but still, or Steam, Epic, and any type of game launcher that conglomerates a lot of games that are not sourced by one company, like the aforementioned Steam and Epic. Um, but all of those things still, as I was trying to say, are not really that high in the order of wow, I am a I am a person who knows their PC that well. So they wouldn't realize if out of nowhere they lost access to something like the process manager. Um, they don't really realize. Yeah, yeah, that's what I am saying. There are the problem isn't that you have people using weird stuff to mine cryptocurrency. The problem is why did we give access to internet to something like a washing machine? What was the point behind that? I I don't know. I don't get that stuff sometimes. But yeah, you have a lot of different devices, and there are also softwares that are easy to manipulate because the main surface and the main what is it? The main interface doesn't really need to be affected by you. So you can take up to 50 or even more percent of those machines or the processing power of those machines to your advantage. So that's why, once again, it is quite possible for a lot of things to be made around that. That's why if a lot of systems were used in this type of operations, meaning crypto, I don't think it will be that weird to believe that also they are being used to do some pivoting. After all, once again, they are not that hard to manipulate, and some processes and all of that are still a world that I don't fully get. I don't yeah I don't just understand yet how can anybody somehow um, open an instance of a browser without you seeing it, and at the very same time, even more, if you're viewing, you're playing video somehow, yet at the same time there is no sound and there is obviously no video input, and I don't know, I that's not my world to guess. So it happens basically that they can fake it and they can make it run and they can once again use all of those things to, in this case, viewbot or whichever thing they want, no? But yeah, the point was that, and I don't know. I just think it is quite crazy that we don't have to deal with anything of that sort. After all, once again, a pleasure to see everything being fully natural. After all, and even, I mean, that's the craziest thing of this point, because we started with somebody believes that they are doing a good action by providing a tiny enough amount of bots to you, and by giving you a once again a tiny enough dose of a boost on their eyes, without realizing that maybe what they are doing is just just making you slowly but surely um, bleed the the algorithm that you're creating, let's say. But I don't know. I think maybe that is also too much worrying about something that doesn't happen to us. So I don't know. I just enjoying not having bots. That's the point. Just enjoying not having them. And once again, remembering why they are so bad. But anyways, yeah, we don't have to deal with that, so I am happy, and that's more than enough for me today. I feel so. After all, and also that's something weird. I have noticed that lately the bots that go around saying, "Oh wow, cheap viewers at link, completely dubious link," um, had increased. So partially why also it is quite nice to not have to deal with them. And well, I used to watch a little bit the viewer list to make sure that there was no bots. But I think it took me like a month or 2 months to get rid of the most prominent ones, and after that they appear, let's say, from time to time. And when they appear, one of the few advantages of the bots is certainly they don't they don't believe that you will have anything against them. That's why quite easily you can ban all of those bots and get rid of all of them with an incredibly big amount of easiness. And yeah, I don't know. That's sadly, I guess, sadly for them, um, good enough for us at the very least for now. Um, One of the advantages that we have over bots that they are very easy to deal with right now. Maybe in the future they might finally integrate a little bit more of artificial intelligence into them. Maybe there will be a point in which, out of nowhere, you will have a chatter that joins and becomes a very prominent figure in your chat that you really believe exists and all of that without ever realizing that they were fully fake and that they never existed all along. And you ended up after a year or so of believing that you had a certain viewer discovering that it was all a plan to get you to buy even more bots. But I don't know, I guess when that happens, we're going to have that discussion. And at the very same time, it isn't even a discussion we are going to have here. Um, it is just a topic that I brought up because I wanted to have a short, quote unquote, short rant about it. It ended up being longer than what I expected. Quite 15 minutes longer than what I expected. But yeah, um, no bots is a good life. Um, what is it? No bots and no surprises. But yeah, anyways, besides that, or yeah, that that's the point. Also, there it is. So, anyways, um, I don't really know what else to say. I One second, going back to this, I too many things I wanted to talk about that I haven't had the time to do. So now we are dealing with me trying to organize my ideas into a cohesive pattern. But one thing that I can say is winter break is incoming, so I will probably have some time to stream there. I don't fully believe it is going to be like that, and also something that I just remember it has nothing to do with what I am talking about. I have a test that I should be taking later on, so I will have to study for that. Anyways, the point was, the point was, yeah, probably there is going to be also a week in which we are going to engage once again into a more serious form of continuous streaming, not this random whenever I can I go live style that I was using later on. And I mean, once again, I kind of said it before, but if it isn't completely if it wasn't completely said or understandable, partially why I made the change of trying to stream a lot earlier is certainly because also I want to have that continuity, and losing it because I base myself too much around stuff like, well, if I am feeling alright, and if I have the time, and if, And if too many ifs, I will do stream. If not, I will not only not stream, but keep lamenting that I didn't get to stream, and not only the day itself that I didn't stream, but for the next whole week almost of not streaming. So that's quite a good way to deal with that sensation. I mean, certainly, for example, something that I can already foresee is the the feeling of in the future. Oh my god, I can't believe that I didn't make this change earlier. Um, but that is something that I will have to deal, not myself, my future self will have to deal with. So yeah, anyways, moving on. Um, I think I need some water. I am slowly starting to notice how um, weirder and weirder it is getting my voice, but I don't want to get water still. I I am understandable. I hope so. So I will continue anyways. But yeah, give me a second because I have an idea, but I don't want to discuss it right now. I okay. Let's start from here. Some days ago, I was thinking, not thinking, I was discussing with one of my teachers something quite interesting because in classes we talk about this whole notion of what ends up being the desire of being good and doing good things, not by the description of ethics and such, but rather by this whole idea of I haven't yet found how is it said. Is it Aristotle's or something like that on English? The philosopher. I don't know how you say it on English. My bad. I have yet to do my research on that. But yeah, we were discussing that guy's way of thinking and seeing life, and it was interesting. Not the discussion itself, but something that happened in the middle, because somebody out of nowhere asked the teacher if they were doing their parts properly, and if they were doing as a teacher, no, as a person, fulfilling their roles and going for those things that they wanted. And it was, I don't know, I am still quite amazed by the nature of doing something like that pretty much requires being very self-critical about yourself and also open because he ended up sharing what he thought he was doing correctly as also what he thought he was not doing correctly enough. All of those things were very enjoyable to observe. I believe uh, there are a certain type of individuals that you can realize have a tendency or have an affinity towards discussing these things and also towards showing what they are capable of doing, not for the sake of showing off, but for the sake of really letting you observe from their skills, let's say like that. And in this case, it was quite a. Holy, give me a second. I think there it is. No, I still sound weird, anyways. Um, it was quite a nice experience, particularly the one of this. Yeah, not the example, because he literally did with himself. The analysis he conducted, let's say like that. And it ended up being quite refreshing. After all, once again, you don't really see that many people that is willing to do something so personal. Not in a sense of wow, but let's say like this, not in a perverted personal way, but rather in a profound and deeply um, vulnerating of oneself personal level. To that degree, not everybody is capable of acting, and even less obviously with people who they might not even know about. Because what he said also was, and that's where the value of this was, he said it consciously about what he was going to talk, while also respecting the will of the student of hearing about his personal things, not something that he might have made up, but rather something that really applied to himself. And that's what ended up being quite interesting, because once again, something like that is quite random, not random, quite hard to observe naturally, and even more when you get people like that willing to share, you get to learn a lot. In that case, it was a proper execution of the method of analysis, because I think I am certainly speaking completely out of my league here, but at the very same time, a very short, quick rundown on that is um, Aristotle's says that a way in which you can observe the human existence and such is by basing yourself around the idea that there is something good and that there is something that can be described as the good way of living, not good as in something religious or something based on preconceptions of anything else, but rather on good by itself, because you want to enjoy the goodness that is to be in a state of enjoyment of life, because all of those things are of such a nature. There are people who are capable of aspiring at them, and there are different ways in which you can see that also happening in reality, not only because the goodness that you can enjoy in life is born out of acting this way, but also because there are a lot of multiple tools to aid you and to assist you with this whole notion. As in, for example, it is not the same to be potentially good than to be good in the acts themselves that you perform. And that was one of the most amazing parts of this whole um, idea, because what is contained inside of that, but if you already understand what those words mean, you might very well get the idea. It isn't that weird. It isn't the same to be potentially beneficial to others, good, and is somewhat virtuous to in the ways in which you conduct yourself, than to be capable of acting with virtuousness in every single action that you take. Because the potential for stuff always exists on people, and be it that they are capable of channeling it into reality or not is a completely different matter, sorry. And even more obviously, once you get anybody who is willing enough to strive for the highest degree of goodness and to consciously avoid anything that, once again, doesn't abide by the rules of good, you end up noticing that there are a lot of parts in any human life that need to be um, worked on and sculpted so that the goodness that they enjoy throughout their life is not only good by itself, but capable of ensuring the goodness that is going to come from the future, as well as letting them be sure that what they had in the past described as good was certainly of such a nature, and not that they were lying to themselves. And all of this, once again, going back into the example that our teacher gave us, was useful because he executed an analysis of that level by showing us all of the problems that he had around his life and all of the beneficial things that he was doing to do or for the sake of others also. After all, that is partially why it ended up being so much of an enjoyable thing to to hear somebody do it. Because in the analysis of stuff of this sort, not only it is that you realize what others are doing with their life, but also it, at the very least in my case, it lets you self-reflect in terms of what they are saying might apply to me, even if they are obviously not even thinking about what they are saying in terms of communicating it to others. But what I can get out of those ideas and those points that they are striking at can very much well be fully used against myself. Because let's say like this, even if I don't know who is talking about the negative sides of smoking, if I myself as somebody who smokes hear about somebody who is already going through uh, terminal the terminal worst side of smoking, let's say like that, um, I can pretty much learn and I can pretty much obtain um, knowledge to base myself and to avoid smoking in that case. Also, hello Spike or Spikelch. um, I also love you, my brother. And yeah, let me say quickly. So, as so far as to what is this my current life, I will say I feel certainly satisfied. What does happen is I still need to keep going. I have when in the present I am satisfied. In the past I was pretty much, as I said before, lying to myself, believing that what I was doing was enjoyable enough without having realized at that time which definition of happiness I was really pursuing, or if the type of happiness that I was giving to myself was truly something worth having or worth using my time on. It was the type of happiness that I enjoyed to have, or satisfaction that I used to give myself, was a lot more worldly and a lot more vapid. But in the present, it ends up being, yeah, it ends up being something that I can say confidently. It feels like the real degree of satisfaction, not as fake as the other one, or not fake like the other one, but once again, it takes quite some time to analyze it and to, at the very least, I mean, it took me like maybe, if I had to real, maybe, yeah, I don't want to be that harsh, but maybe 7 years to realize that or so. Even if I am young, it wasn't like nobody ever told me about the goodness of doing something of this sort. It was, I don't know, I don't think you can excuse it behind, oh wow, I was an adolescent and I was still new to the world. You can still pretty much, yeah, even if you're an adolescent, it doesn't mean that when people say things, you don't hear them or whatever. Um, yeah, it will be dishonest of me to say, no, it took me 2 years to realize it. It was an incredibly long process. 7 years or so to finally find a proper definition of in this case, satisfaction or good that I can say I am willing to pursue until the day I die, let's say. But yeah, uh, I guess so far something good enough is also certainly the benefit of having found something so worth going for. Because after all, um, such a definition is not only good by itself for you, but also can be used to justify the previous type of pains that you went through. Because once again, uh, what what is one of the principles is the problems are still going to come, and the negative sides of life are still going to happen, no matter how hard you try, because the haphazardous events that are inbound to the whole human nature and the whole aspect of randomness that is inbound to anything that has to deal with this current world in which we live. contains by itself already a quite high ordeal of things that you will never control and things that you will never be capable of predicting, even if you spend your whole life trying to predict everything. So, adapting to those things, or, yeah, sorry, for the sake of adapting to those things, the definition that you end up having for things like in this case, what is good and what is worth and what brings you satisfaction and such, all of those things should be good enough to justify the whole adventure that you're going to have in life. And in that case, at least so far, I haven't found anything that has been capable of, yeah, has had a chance of defeating my personal way of saying, yeah, I live a good life, I guess. But I don't know. I am still working on it. It doesn't mean like I have found the perfect response. I probably, if I had a discussion even with my 5 months uh, previous self, myself from 5 months ago, I will still have quite an intense discussion in a lot of things that I at that time didn't even consider as what ended up being in this case the description of satisfying stuff. But still, the the analysis must continue, and the proper evolution of that same theory is necessary. Even more obviously in this case, we're only considering someone like Aristotle, who at their time didn't have that many tools, let's say like that, to deal with a lot of what is the concept of self and what is also the concept of the limits and the skills and the advantages that you will have in this world, as well as also obviously the tools themselves that you have at your hand. And all of that separate us in a lot of degrees, and none of that ends up being quite necessary to take into consideration if you want to reach what ends up being partially also the whole potential of the self, because that is very much part of the same idea, to realize how much of a capacity you possess about doing stuff in life and to realize how much of a gift it is that you have in your hands to be conscious about your own existence in terms of being driven not by your most bodily desires or most primal desires, but rather by what you can by yourself justify by the process of thinking, and be capable even enough of convincing yourself of doing stuff that will be painful because the reward lies beyond the pain that you're going to suffer is an incredibly crazy thing. I wouldn't even say good or bad. It is an incredibly crazy thing. And if in this case you're capable of channeling something of that type of spirit high enough to feel like what you're doing is worth enough, maybe what you have in your hands is going to be a proper description of this world. And to ignore that you also possess this responsibility, in my case, I feel is a very much dishonest reaction and a complete lie, also, because once again, these questions are not going to get solved by anybody else but you. So that's why, in my case, I say I am satisfied now, but I wasn't before because I didn't take that much responsibility. But I don't know. I hope it answered your question. I know it went like 5 minutes longer than what it needed, but at the very same time, making it short isn't really the point here. But yeah, continuing, I guess, with the other thing that was, where did I left? Quite a nice question. I think it was, I left when I was saying that our teacher executed an analysis of this sort. And yeah, also because when you get to hear somebody who's willing enough to do it properly, and somebody who supposedly understands the theory to put it into practice, you also get to feel a lot of holes. And even more, that is also something that I mentioned now, I remember. Not only in this case it is a good way to know if what you know is really knowledge or is assumptions that you have made about the knowledge, but also in the case of all of the descriptions of your own life and similar, when you hear somebody who is going through situations minimally close, yeah, that hold a minimally close resemblance to to yours, you get to reflect back on yourself. I mean, if you're willing to do it, no? you, you, you could very much go to the casino every single day and talk with every single gambling addict that goes there every single day, also. But if you were never willing to hear from them or to notice from them what they are telling you will never notice that a lot of what they are talking about can also get applied to you. Like, for example, something that is pretty much said by every single one of them. I sense like I lose the sense. Yeah, I feel like I lose the sense of time when I am inside this place because everything is set up in order for me to not realize that time is passing. Or the pleasure that I get from playing these machines is so high that I never realize I had been hours on end doing something of this sort. And if you're not willing to be critical of your own self, you will say, wow, what? How do you say that this happens to you? I cannot believe it. And you're being, once again, quite disingenuous because it applies to you. But I mean, I am just saying it as something that can happen. It isn't a real critique, nor we are really discussing anybody's case in particular. After all, people like that also do it to cope. As always, it is not like out of nowhere. They feel like spending their whole life on, on casinos or gambling or video games or drugs or porn or whatever. It doesn't happen just like that. Um, it, it is a lie to say, oh wow, you have a problem so easily. But the point is that you can reflect on what others say and you can learn from their analysis of themselves because as long as you're willing to, you can observe how much of a reflection others have of you or you reflect others. Because in this world, it is not that we are alone in terms of being completely individualistic in terms of how we are as humans, but rather that we as individuals possess the innate capacity of also sharing all that makes us be, because we are capable of conceiving an even higher being itself that can be, once again, understood not only by us but by others. And if in the process of doing something like that you are willing to observe what others have instead of being so self conceited and so self centered, you get to learn from them. But once again, I mean, I might be overcomplicating it with words that are pompous, not really that meaningful. Uh, in the execution of his analysis, the teacher gave us the opportunity to analyze ourselves a little bit. Also, that's the point, I guess. I mean, I haven't really mentioned any of them because I feel it is quite, yeah, even if not that big, because he will literally never know, it is still a violation of his privacy to say, oh wow, he gave us exactly this and this. Um, it happened, okay, let's say like this. It happened in a certain point that he discussed with us how he didn't really feel accomplished in terms of his political life, because something that is very present in somebody like Aristotle's is this whole concept of the human has, at the very least, when he was defining this idea of goodness, um, how many? It was four or five. I think it was four different things that they can enjoy, or three. Let me. I think it is something like the the work that you perform, the political activities that you perform, the vices that you have in terms of physical vices and such, and I think it was just three, or I mean, no, give me. No, I think it was just three. I think so, but basically, yeah, he was. Um, I'm sorry if I forgot anyone, uh, any of those, but yeah, he said that he realized he was ignoring his political life because he was pretty much um, properly doing everything else and properly fulfilling every other role in his life. He was already a teacher, therefore he was already providing something to nature, and he was already, um, yeah, because he already had a job, he was finding fulfillment on the things that he did, as he was capable of saying that he enjoyed doing all of those actions because they were worthy enough for himself. But what he ignored in the process was the political aspect of any human being. And that's where I came into the discussion and I said something that I am still debating with myself. I don't know to which extent we can really say that we live in the same society as that of Aristotle's. Certainly, what he says sounds logical, but at the very same time, it isn't like every single human being can be educated in terms of becoming a president like it used to happen at those times. That was an incredibly big notion and one of the most predominant ideas that anybody could rule Rome itself if they were capable enough of defending their theory. And once again, in theory, that happens with any particular human being that you can, if you aspire for that, um, try to become president. But at the same time, it doesn't happen that you can out of nowhere, just because you say, wow, killing is bad, and those who kill should go to prison or should have this or that punishment, um, not because of any of those ideas, you are going to become better or become closer to achieving presidency in nowadays world compared to what was before a more philosophical state like it happened. And I guess that was its point. The alienation of oneself from the different responsibilities that they may occupy in life is quite a loss that one has to suffer properly, or that they should at the very least acknowledge to try and fix. Because in his case, what he ended up later on realizing was not only that he lacked that political life, but also that he self was lacking the activities associated with that because he wasn't going for any of those things. And that was the not weirdest thing, but most, I believe so, most profound part of this whole analysis that he conducted on his own case. Once again, you have no obligation of telling anybody something about yourself like that. But if you are willing to do it, and if you are willing to acknowledge what are also your shortcomings, maybe your life is going to be a little bit better because in the acceptance of your shortcomings, it is that you might also open up the possibility of realizing why they are problems that you have instead of situations that affect you positively. And as long as you, in this case, something that will never stop happening, um, possess consciousness over your actions and possess enough, good enough of a notion over what is yourself, you will end up unavoidably arriving at the solutions that will give you a release from your problems or from those, once again, those situations that keep you down. And in his case, not only he said that he had problems with his political life, but he also already was capable of saying in some way or another that because he lacked all of that and because he never went for anything like that, maybe if he did it, he wouldn't be feeling so empty, let's say. But I don't know, I don't really think it is that easy. Once again, the amount of honesty that you have with yourself also is quite lost in nowadays society. I think so. Um, I don't. I can't say it in any other way. I believe in nowadays world it is quite a crazy occurrence that we have so many ways of lying about who we are or which things we are going through or what is it that we enjoy and what is it that we don't enjoy and all of that. And I don't think it is that much of a pain by itself, but it is certainly something quite hurtful to see that out of nowhere you are talking with people who have never accepted which problems they have on their own existence, let's say, and which negative points they have in terms of aspiring to anything that they can really say, I enjoy. And because we also have so many outs, yeah, so many impositions from the outside as to which things are good without being given the chance to think about them for ourselves, or at the very least, we feel like that is a reality. We end up even more in those cases losing the chance of now, with all of those notions in hand, contemplating properly what is it that we enjoy and what is it that we don't enjoy and what is it that once again we can say gives gives us a direction or an insurance that we are moving towards those good times that we so much desire in our life. And I don't know, it feels quite drowning sometimes when you realize that others have given up so much of the agency over their actions. But I don't know. I was going to say it feels good enough at the very least to realize that by yourself, but I don't think so. I don't. Self centeredness isn't really the solution here. Um, no problem, Sharko. Thank you for being here. Have a good lunch. But yeah, I have a good one. Thank you. But yeah, I don't know. If I had to continue with that, I guess the worthiness is not in just feeling good yourself. Okay. That's that's what I like to say here. One of the main principal concepts of feeling good is not only born out of yourself. If you want to feel good and if you want to have goodness, Aristotle proposes you should try to by letting others also be happy and by helping others also reach those states of goodness, be capable then of seeing how everything that is around you is going in that same good direction that you also are searching for. Because, once again, as social beings, we are not alone. And as humans, we do not exist in the void of our own mind. And without having to deal with what is the outside world, we can act as if that were nature, but the reality is completely different in that case. And we can always say, or we can always see ourselves having that much of a good time and that much of a beautiful opportunity of sharing once again, not only with those who are close to us, but also with those who might never fully know who we are. Um, this pursuit of goodness, and once again, this isn't about happiness, because happiness is maximum objective. Um, and I didn't really mention that before. Fuck. Uh, Happiness isn't the objective itself. If you are only going for happiness, you're going to find yourself quite lost because the process of understanding what is happiness requires you to be capable of observing all of the things that are around that. And if you, in the process of trying to comprehend happiness, don't realize that happiness is not brought by the pursuit of happiness itself, you will drown in the sea of despair that is born out of never attaining something that you so wholeheartedly search for. That's why, once again, in this case, he's mentioning something that is aching to degree of goodness, because good things ensure happiness, and happiness can also be derived from those good things as long as you're capable of living a good life and a fulfilling life. And in this case, once again, not only that what you have is good for you, what you have can also be good for others. And if you give the chance to the universe itself of enjoying with the rest of the world what you are doing and what you are going for, maybe then what you are going to reach is finally a fulfilling definition of happiness, not something so devoid of the rest of the universe, because negating it is negating also yourself to a certain extent. Because, and this is what I kind of said before, you're not seen on others, but you see yourself on others, maybe. And if what you see on others doesn't really reflect what you are, maybe the idea that you have doesn't fully make sense to you. That's why your reflection doesn't make sense at all. And once again, the problem is it takes too much time. And considering all of those things as anything minimally real is an impossible job for most people. And I don't think it is that high of an IQ task. It simply needs too much of a. And this was something that we were discussing with another friend. All of these things need patience, and patience is one of the things that we have the least. And I I never realized how much of a problem it has become until in the last week or so. I have realized that almost every single day I find myself talking about it with someone or some other, and I don't know. It makes you feel weird. Let's say like this. It makes you feel incredibly weird to realize that sometimes you have patience that others are not even willing to create, because it really isn't that hard to try and see things as they are, as what they are. Life isn't so fast. Time might pass more rapidly as you grow older. Okay, I understand that. But the concept of 1 second equals 1 second doesn't ever change, no matter how much you want to force it or to ignore it. If you are not willing to put up with what is this whole nature of the world in which we live, you are negating where you live and how everything has worked for millennia. You're not really saying anything of substance by saying, "Oh no, I can't be patient. I can't be bothered to wait for stuff." It is the most anti-statement ever. Literally, you need patience for anything in life. Even the most immediate type of reactions are not instantaneous. Even light itself isn't instantaneous. There is nothing that can happen exactly as you want it to happen. There is delay even on the fastest of the things that we might want to, that we are capable of doing, and how much more in the things that are outside of our direct control. But I don't know, I should say this because once again, I find myself talking too much about patience, and I don't like to say that to people because they might feel like when somebody like me says it, they are not doing it with a good intention, but rather with a judging idea. And I am still trying also personally to work on that whole side and aspect of it isn't because that. It is more because you're not realizing how much you're damaging yourself. You're not realizing how much you're making your own life worse by trying to rush everything. Life is an incredibly long process. Why would you want to make it shorter? Why would you want to make something that is unavoidably going to happen come faster at you? What's what is it that you are doing when you say, "Oh no, I want everything to happen so fast to me. I want everything to come right now. I want to solve my problems exactly in this moment." It doesn't work like that, and it will never work like that. But I don't know. As I said, I'm working on that. I still lack the proper tools and the proper care to say it with enough love and attention to detail so that it makes sound. It makes sense, sorry, because the sounds themselves don't reflect what I am saying, but rather the intention behind them. And sometimes I do get angry when I say stuff like that, because after all, I am still. It is an excuse, but I'm still human and I can still fail to accomplish my role, all the role that I self impose on myself. So, I don't know, anyways. I guess anything of what I said for the last hour or so, I think, makes sense. Moving on, I guess. What a crazy thing to be alive, huh? Uh, Pleasure and pain and whatever. And also, I said it, so I will repeat it. Society, wow. Um, but I don't know. Yeah, I feel like not everything is so bad as we think it is, but we are good, and that is enough for me today. We are here, and with that, I can sleep. Yeah, because of that, I can sleep with a smile on my face. Let's say like that. Getting to enjoy pleasures like this one is certainly an incredibly weird thing for anybody, and even more if, as humans, you're capable of anybody, sorry, is capable of finding something that is worth it as much as that. Then why not do it? This isn't about making it worse or whatever. This is about just trying to something that feels good enough. So yeah, that's that's the point, I guess. Nice. Anyways, so leaving that aside, I I am already annoyed by my throat, so I guess I will take a tiny break. I don't know how much I have been talking already. I think an hour and a half almost. Yeah. Um, I will take quite a short break, and I will go and try to eat. Eat? No, try to drink something because I want to. Yeah, I want to change my throat. Not change, fix my throat. It is already annoying. So give me like 1 or 2 minutes. I will go drink some water and such. Thank you for your patience as always. Meanwhile, be right back. Anyways, you know, back. So what I was saying was one of the yeah one or at least the last idea that I can remember was I was trying to talk about this whole thing of yeah. It was about I was talking with a friend with a friend of this whole idea of how much hard it is to really comprehend these things, and how hard it really gets to try and make sense out of whatever it is that one tries to talk about in these cases. And what I told him, or what I feel like is the reality in these cases, is it is true that these ideas are hard to understand on one hand, but there is something also that we kind of ignore here most of the time, let's say, and that is the responsibility we have about learning everything that comes after the concept that we are delving into directly. Because, let me, okay, it doesn't happen that what you are learning is completely new. A lot of ideas are based on previous blocks of knowledge that you already possess. If you want to make sense out of something and it seems quite harsh to understand, it doesn't happen that the concept itself is impossible to understand, but rather that the line of ideas that you should have been following in some part of itself has been broken, because ideas are never that impossible to contemplate or that hard to really analyze. They are in your hands and they are in your mind so that you can make sense and you can play with them as much as you want. It's if you can fully picture something, it means that you have understood that. And if you can't even make sense out of something that is being talked about, it isn't because you don't have the proficiency for that. It is because you just simply lack the founding ideas of that. If I came here out of nowhere to talk about physics, I wouldn't know anything about physics. I am not a physicist, and I make no sense when I talk about physics. But I know two things, and if I went and moved from there to the next branch of no, yeah, the next developed idea that was born out of them, I I will still make no sense, but I can say and I can believe that I have an awareness about what I am discussing, and I can say and I can discuss and I, I can lie to everybody and say, oh yeah, you know what we are discussing here is this one idea. That the idea itself, I have a title. I might believe that what I am discussing makes any particular sense, but the reality is I literally have no idea by the by observing everything that is born out of that. I can only make believe and I can only say and lie to myself once again that I hold any close resemblance or any proper association of concepts to arrive to the conclusions needed to consider any of that sort. But it doesn't happen that you get to discover any of those things without properly managing to observe them before. If it were to happen that knowledge was found at random, we would be probably in a completely different world. So far, how I believe it works is you go and with your tiny little mind build blocks of ideas, and those blocks always have scaffolds on them that can be used later on to associate newer ideas. If you are not properly letting the blocks or the scaffolds themselves be created, what is going to happen is unavoidably the construction of knowledge will fail. And also, there are my dogs. Say hello to my fucking dogs. Um, they uh, they had woken up. Um, can I continue, my dear dog? Yeah. Anyways, yeah. As I was saying, it happens that the blocks of knowledge you are trying to make will make no sense because you are failing in the process of creating other things besides what you are by yourself already trying to analyze, you know? And I don't know. I think I make it sound too weird. One of the few things that I am still dealing with is I don't know if I am really clever or not, and I don't want to accept that I am clever. I don't. Although it is flattering to get called that you are somehow clever, it feels disingenuous to say that I am clever. I have never really dealt with this stuff so little. I don't get concepts that easily. I had, for example, to be present here, it took me like 2 years or three of preparation and learning and understanding and building, once again, building those concepts and making up the ideas and being capable of going back in time in terms of knowledge and absorbing as much as possible and creating all the notions necessary to communicate whichever thing is it that we are discussing here. It wasn't like one day I woke up with an idea and based solely on that desire, we are here out of nowhere. No, man. It's I am not I'm not gifted. I don't see myself as somebody gifted, but I wouldn't really know how to deal with the truth if I was in those terms. I believe that everybody has, in this case, it is the point, the capacity of learning. You just need, once again, this goes back to what I was talking before. That's why I mentioned it. It literally is directly related to the amount of patience you have. If you can make it slowly but surely sense out of everything, you will build up something beautiful that is going to be useful to you. But if you negate from you the possibility of waiting for things, I am sorry, but it is not going to happen out of nowhere. And as much as you're appreciated by others or not, I, I don't believe you will have it easy. It is a pain, self-inflicted, but at the very same time, that blinds you towards your own, towards the own cause of that pain. I believe so, and I, I don't know. I guess at the very least, having the possibility of avoiding it feels good once again. But it isn't about feeling good oneself. If that was the point, I wouldn't be here. It makes no sense to say or to justify stuff of, oh wow, we are not having this problem ourselves. That's never the fucking point. Sorry. But I don't know. I guess that continuing, before I lose myself into the worst part of the idea, uh, you can find things and you can make sense out of them if you are willing to wait enough. If you don't wait for them, they are not going to make any sense at all. Because to make sense out of something, it is necessary for you to firstly get everything that contains and that makes up that idea. If you haven't even tried to construct the proper blocks of knowledge that come before that and make the foundations out of the next concept that you are trying to absorb, it will be impossible for you or for anybody, for that matter, to get it and to advance in the adventure that is to learn. You need to have a solid ground, and the solid ground that you have is not made by seeing where is it that you need to go next. It is made up by yourself, by once again consolidating your knowledge and making it as solid as possible so that you can step yourself on it and leverage from your present moment into the next idea that you will try to absorb, whichever one is it that you are going for. And the problem when you say something like that, once again, as I said before, that was my whole point, or what I tried to say before. It sounds incredibly widespread, as if everybody had that capacity. But I am sure, and I would put my life on the line if it is needed, to say that we're not trying hard enough to show everybody that it works that way. If you believe that things are so out of your control, how much more of out of your control they will be? Because certainly life gets dictated by the way in which you see it. There is nothing else that can really alter the way in which you interact with this world and your whole outlook on that. Nothing can make it different more than yourself. And how much more in this case will it be that if you really believe you don't have the possibility of learning, you will become your own biggest blockage in terms of allowing yourself or not to learn about the stuff? This isn't about, once again, this is not a race, or this is not career towards, wow, let's see who gets to learn the most. No, this is about learning stuff that suffices you and that you can say that is good for you and beneficial and useful. This isn't about a competition. I don't know. Anyways, I think I made my point already, so I might as well want to move from this because I don't want to keep discussing this anymore. Take into consideration that yet again, uh, it makes me go a little bit angry when we discuss things of this nature. Uh, I might have too much of. Okay, I will be real. I might have too much of a completely optimistic view on life, and I prefer to keep that naivety yet, so I don't want to discuss it that much more. Someday, at the very least, I will try that someday. I will try to bring somebody who is willing enough to discuss things to make the completely negative argument or opposite argument of things are not that good. But I don't know. Anyways, moving on from that onto something else. Um, because I want to see. I had one idea that I wanted to discuss, but it kind of left my head. No, I can't remember. Sorry. I guess I did really let that one go. I I should probably write down when I have ideas. Haha. I mean, I should write down when I am having them in the moment. That's when I need them the most. Not not when I randomly talk about it, but I don't know. Uh, anyways, moving on to something completely different then, because I can't really move into what I wanted to say before. I forgot about it. So I I don't really yeah, I don't really know how to say this. It has been quite a nice time lately in terms of enjoying all of what I said before, doing stuff that feels good in accordance to your own self, and it ends up being quite an amazing discovery to see how much more one can redefine this whole idea of what is good and what is worth. Because I yeah, I still don't get exactly how the consciousness itself works. I I guess that is part of the nature of this whole world that we still don't get it, but it is quite an amazing thing to see that you can completely change your views on things, and you can see, and at the very same time, not feel hurt by having been wrong about ideas that you had, because that wasn't the problem that you were wrong or that you said something bad about them, but rather that you are getting to fully enjoy correcting things that you did badly and that you were not truly squeezing the most out of them. And in this case, life really gives you a lot of opportunities for redeeming whether you're not only wrongdoings, but also incorrect assumptions about this whole world. So I do quite seriously enjoy um, the pleasure of trying all of this and yet again working on making even more sense. And I believe, I wish I was capable of in the future. I always say this, eh, igniting on others that spark of I can make sense out of that. And I don't know, I just see it as by discovering this world, you end up unavoidably discovering yourself. Because I said it before, the world is you while you are also the world, and while there are some other things that don't really have that much to deal with your whole nature of an individual inside of the world, you as an individual have a lot of influence on the outside. And if you don't realize how much of a big thing you can be, you really rob out of yourself the chance of enjoying this activity that is being alive. But I don't know. I am yet, yeah. So far, I'm just trying to justify all the actions that might lead towards such an assumption, or so, not only those, but also to make it digestible enough. The problem is, we ended up discussing this properly with the teacher this time around. Concepts tend to spiral up towards complexity. So it is quite necessary for you in these cases to develop a congruently understandable enough um, outlook on the words that you utilize to communicate with others. If you don't recognize how much of a necessity you have in your hands to make it all good enough for the sake of anybody who is willing to hear what you might have to say, not only for those who already assume that you are somebody worth of hearing, but also for those who are interested in trying out their luck in hearing you or watching you or whatever. You need to simplify and you need to refine your methods. And in this case, we are still refining. I I believe I still have a lot of fillers, and I believe I have a lot of problems when I am talking. I have realized it, though, for example, I have somewhat increased my pronunciation and made my overall level of, yeah, of spoken English a little bit better compared to before, but it still might not be enough on that end, as it also happens that, for example, the sentences I create sometimes are unnecessarily vague or unnecessarily weird. In, as yeah, besides the obvious nature of those that do not really make sense because I'm directly translating my Spanish ideas into English, and that makes no um, structural sense compared to how English is used. But if with even all those problems we are getting somewhere, I think it is already worth it. And I don't know, I think that that's more than good. That's more than a, yeah, that's more than a positive thing to take into account because it shows that there is something more to keep striving for, not just the present, not just the actual now that we have, but even more, which type of form we might reach in like 5 years or so, when all of this becomes finally, not finally, a lot more refined. I don't think there will be a final level of this. I hope so. And obviously, one of the few ideas I do recognize as quite not endearing, quite okay, quite fearsome is there was this whole story about how a guy wanted to narrate, needed to narrate a battle to create a poem. Okay, let me start over. There was this whole story about how a poet was called by the king to write him a story, and this story was not any, but in particular was the narration of the go yeah, of the achievements, goals, and battles that the king had. And when the poet, after a simple day of trying, created a narration that was incredibly complex, he was given the possibility of reflecting back on his creation. And after realizing that what he had made could be perfected even more, he was given or commended on the task of doing it. And out of his own volition, he spent just a week working on that. And after making what ended up becoming a vivid image of the battle, a complete description of everything, something that really made you feel as if you were part of that battlefield where you could see and smell everything because the details were so crude and the amount of explanations given to everything was so detailed that you will understand all that happened there as if you were once again being part of that whole story yourself. He was given the possibility of understanding then that there was still another layer through which he could go. And by deciding to purify his craft a last time, he ended up losing his own sanity because in the process of doing so, he realized how much of how much of an even bigger advancement there was to be made, and how much of an even bigger reality there was in terms of um, why can't you rate me? Maybe Savannah. Sorry, I think I have set it up. Maybe yeah. I made one change. I I saw it recommended. I think this is the only change I have in terms of rates and such. You can't. Yeah, if those who want to rate me don't have more than one viewer, they can't rate me because it is recommended that you should have it also set it up like that. Because bots nowadays, even more that they have returned worse than before, might try to rate you in terms of yeah, in terms of trying to in terms of basically that trying to take take the spotlight that is given to those who are watching. But yeah, also welcome back. Then I didn't know you streamed. Quite crazy. I will watch that bot later on. Did you save it? Um, I and I might change it. I can change it if the bots behave. I will change it later on. Then sorry for that. My bad. I guess I over worry. But yeah, here we are. Um, I don't know. I was saying. Ah, yeah, yeah. I was telling a story about how a guy not a guy, a poet was writing what was at first a poem, secondly a narration, and thirdly a complete revelation of the reality behind the acts that the king committed. And because of that, that revelation was so strong that he felt complete pulsion towards ending himself, let's say. And I can fully understand it because this is a possibility that can happen to any type of idea that anybody has. As you might realize if you keep staring at it, that there is something deeply wrong with what you know right now. And our worrying might pretty much bring you to that very same state. Because his dear narration wasn't created out of nowhere. It was rather born out of the observation itself of later on the analysis and the proper digestion of ideas that is made by by assuming no by properly observing and well, not properly, quite improperly, I believe so. um, but yeah, improperly observing and unnecessarily contemplating more than what is necessary everything. And that's where I believe there might be a problem with trying to change the way in which we communicate stuff still. But I I don't know. um, also, you're sustaining stream. Yeah, probably later on. I mean, I still have responsibilities, as in I will still have to go to school. Sorry, if you're alive, no, live. If you're alive at those hours, I won't be here probably. But if you are going to stream, I don't know, in like how much? In around 1 or 2 hours, I will watch. Yeah, but if not, I will have to say sorry. I do. I think I don't have that much school. I think so. I have from 3 hours or four. I think so. But yeah, I I don't have the possibilities of fully being there, sorry. But I mean, I can probably still try to set it up so that even if I am not watching, I am going to go to watching, let's say. Eh, but yeah, I will pay attention to it later on. But yeah, point was, I don't know, I believe it might not be the best to try and refine sometimes stuff like this. And also, we kind of already discussed this also in class. Um, there is this whole problem that gets created by unnecessarily contemplating things. You don't have an obligation towards, yeah, towards trying to realize and trying to become aware of a lot of different concepts that exist around your life. And if you keep analyzing them, I don't think that is the problem. I will encourage that, but at the very same time, I don't think anybody has come out of such an experience alive still. So, if you try to go for something of that sort, of that nature, and you try to contemplate every single thing that happens in life, you might have to deal with a lot of pain. I won't say that it will always be bad. I don't mean that exactly. But what I mean is that it is not that easy to have a good time questioning everything that exists in the reality that surrounds you. And I don't know, I don't feel like everybody is so much aware of this because it isn't that widespread that questioning all that you know always is bad. I hate that idea. For example, we talk about this, and I have to agree. I hate the idea of wow, you should always be questioning everything. No, you can't be questioning every single thing. You literally need something. once again, if you want to move forward, you need to have something fierce to be stepping solidly on. If you can't do that, how can you believe that you're going to have a good time? You're lying to yourself and you're lying to others if you in any way believe that you can have a good time by forcing anybody to work like that and by forcing anybody to follow you on the same path almost of self-destruction. Ideas need to be solid and ideas need to help you towards something. You can't be constantly making everything up as you try to move to nowhere because you don't even know what is forward. If you don't even have the notions about which things are true and which things are untrue, and I don't know. The problem is we have a tendency towards negating what others might say or might not say. And because of that, we believe that we are always right in some way or another, but it isn't so always. Life isn't so short or so simple that you will make sense out of anything of this so easily. And even if you believed something, it doesn't really mean that it is completely true. That's why we have a lot of different methods and a lot of different theories that have been already proven true. And that's why, once again, grounding yourself on them is helpful. Negating those is going to only bring you pain. What would be the idea behind saying, oh, you should adventure yourself outwards and explore the whole world and see if everything that we know is a lie or not? Who is insane enough to say something like that? What is the point behind recommending anybody to take such an adventure when that only is going against everything that already exists and literally trying to make you yourself be rejected by everything that is this society in which anybody lives? No, there is no point behind doing anything like that. And if you believe that for even a second, I am sorry for you because you're only ensuring your own pain, nothing else. But I don't know. I don't know. I just say stuff sometimes. I don't think that much deeply about it. I think life is good. Not like anybody is always really going for trying to contradict the whole system or whatever. It just happens that we have a good life and appreciating it is quite nice. Let's say like that. Appreciating what we have is quite a beautiful gift. Not doing so is quite a horrendous act. I feel like I wouldn't really recommend ignoring what are the positive aspects of existing. I guess I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, let me move on from that because I have spent like 40 minutes talking about it already. Since I came back, I haven't talking about it. So let me think. I am quite angry. So we have like half an hour or so more of me. But after that, I will leave. I am angry, so I want to hungry. I want to eat something. But yeah, that besides, I do talk a lot. I feel like sometimes I repeat myself too much, and I worry about doing it unnecessarily because I recognize that the repetition is quite a good way to solidify concepts, but at the very same time, there are a lot of things that I don't even realize how much I repeat. And if I say them too much, I might be overdoing it in terms of really being repetitive. And that's when I fear doing things incorrectly. I don't want to um, bum out anybody by repeating myself that many times. But I don't know. I guess it just happens that sometimes. Okay, a quite quite proper explanation is that always you need to explain what you're talking about. You shouldn't assume that everybody is fully aware about what's going on at any given moment. That's why it is necessary for us to sometimes repeat, for example, what are some words that I don't really do, sorry, in the Mahabharata, for example, that is full of weird terms and such. All of those things are quite useful for us to repeat because, after all, there is people who might not even get what we are going at, and what is the point behind what we are talking about, or maybe if not a point, what is the foundational idea? So I don't know. I see that as a word. I just believe that it needs patience to be properly analyzed, and do not have enough patience in those terms. Once again, no, because that's what I fear the saying. Patience in these things is quite necessary, but quite lacking, and I fear that I don't fear losing my patience. I believe I have cultivated that enough to the point to which it should be a main quality, a main trait of my own self. I believe so. I don't know. Yeah, life is good. That's the point. Life is good. So repeating stuff might be a problem that we will have to keep dealing with, because not doing so would mean that we are forgetting about the factor that is the other. And doing so obviously is going to be negative. No, I wouldn't feel appreciated at the very least myself if I got completely ignored in terms of really meaning nothing at all. So yeah, I don't know. I am I am having some getting next idea, but because so okay, there it is. I was thinking, I was quite talking, kind of, with. I don't know if I was really talking. I think I was monologuing more than anything else, because there is this problem that we had with a friend that was they wanted to learn about, yeah, different theories of philosophy, as I have mentioned here, that, yeah, part of that I already said. His problem mostly was that he was needing uh, patience, and he was needing also, obviously, to solidify what he needed before all of those things needed. Also, enjoy your meal. Is it a meal? Your snacks. Uh, enjoy your snacks. Tona. All of those things also are quite complex. And I have that I will give. There are some things that are quite complex because people picture things differently on their head, and there are some ideas that I can't even myself picture properly. There are some stuff that gets said or that gets thrown around that for them makes complete sense. For me, I mean, I get what is it Plato talking about, but I um, then, it is summer, no? It shouldn't be winter, so it shouldn't be a problem that dogs. It shouldn't be a problem that you are sweating, but still take care. Don't you get sick because of sweating. Um, but yeah, I believe that there are some. ideas. I was saying, like for example, in Plato, the Republic, when he talks about the physical and the unmaterial world or the world of ideas. Okay, the world of ideas. I can see that. I can see how you live in a world of ideas. Like the concept of a chair. I understand that idea. Perfect. We all understand that there are things that you derive from an idea that is the main idea of a chair, and that from that main idea of a chair, things later on take the shape of a particular chair, the one that you are using now, for example, to sit in. But that was born out of the I, initial idea of a chair, um, not something that you will be capable of making because it is a concept. And I can't picture that. It is shapeless. How can you picture something like that? And the problem is, these people don't give you enough tools to, to deal with their explanations sometimes. But at the very same time, it doesn't really feel that bad. There are a lot of, yeah, more modern. That that's what I have to clarify. More modern um, philosophers and psychologists and whichever field of study that you are dealing with. I mean, even medicine also. Uh, type of not only explanations, but also I think they are called analyzers of them or compilers of them that give you a more digested view on what they are talking about. Because accepting that what you have in your hands is not so easy to deal with, but also that it can be quite hard to fully get, is a problem. And dealing with it is not something that every one of them is capable of doing. So enjoying all of those things and enjoying all of those pleasures with enough patience uh, has become quite a nice thing in the present era. But still, there are some concepts that you might not find if you don't. Once again, you need to build up a ladder of concepts to keep striving towards the infinite sky of knowledge that keeps always elevating, let's say. But if you can't in any particular way by yourself allow that to happen and wait enough for your ideas to make sense out of what was previously behind you, you will not arrive to the modern era. And sadly, it is quite necessary to conflict with what is being said by this type of philosophers, at the very least in my quote unquote area of expertise. It is not really expertise, but in my field of knowledge, let's say like that, in my field of knowledge. So maybe it is necessary that they do it like that because by letting you confront them directly, you might be capable of finding out something else. After all, there is also this weird tradition that we have as humans of leaving work for others. I I never really understood something like that as to why will you not complete your whole work when you can. The very same thing happens here. But maybe it is only me overworrying or something of that sort. I don't know. I guess we don't get to really know anything like that, at least right now. So yeah, um, stuff, I guess. But anyways, ah, so also my dogs are incredibly noisy. I love my dogs. Let's give them a second, please. Okay, okay, let's finish. Yeah. Okay, moving on then. Um, so I I was mm, some time ago. I was spending my time learning about this whole ordeal of cybersecurity and all of that, and it was quite a fun experience because we mentioned that a little bit earlier. I did talk about how easy it is to vulnerate and to obviously violate a lot of different problems. Yeah, not problems, vulnerabilities that systems have. And something that I had went throughout this whole process of learning about psychology, uh, observing is these things are also very present on the day-to-day life, let's say, of a lot of things and a lot of occurrences that do happen in terms of the actual mind. And it is a lot harder to take advantage of them, but at the same time, not most of them. There are some that you can utilize properly, and it has been quite crazy to see it like that because you will believe that as humans we should be a lot more capable of dealing with this type of problems and such. But the reality is completely different, and what you find and what you end up dealing with is, at least for me, shocking in those terms. Because you will say, or you will want to believe once again, that this world isn't so dangerous, but there is nothing as easy as trying to manipulate a human being. And well, it sounds incredible what I said, yeah, but I don't know. Anyways, the problem is we are not aware of that enough to take proper me- measurements, countermeasures. Okay, uh, but I believe it might be possible to try and not be so troubled by all of that by learning once again. That's also a reason as to why we are here. I I have seen that pretty much one of the easiest ways to prevent any of these things from happening is being aware of how they are performed, because you wouldn't want them to happen to you. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just analyzing and I am just pondering that still. I have from time to time I get my memory refresh on that. I forget how vulnerable we are in some terms. So it is quite weird to see it happening out of nowhere, then remembering, oh yeah, we're not so strong as human beings. You can really vulnerate somebody else like that. But well, I don't know. Anyways, what a crazy thing. Anyways, I am at my limit. I am hungry as hell. So, if you excuse me, uh, I will now take my leave. This has been everything from today. I will try tomorrow to hear. I don't know if I will have the energies. It wasn't really exhausting, but I need to think about what we are going to do next time. So that's a problem that I am having right now. And also I have a test, so I need to attend my test. So yeah, anyways, point being, I guess we're going to rate somebody, as always, no? But yeah, it has been quite crazy to see that this ended up working somehow. I didn't expect to be awake at this hour. I mean, if I had said to myself that I was going to be alive and all of that now, um, I wouldn't have expected that a month ago. But yeah, here we are. So that's more than good, I feel like. Anyways, as I said before, something more important. We're going to raid. This is my limit, so I need to go and eat something before I pass out. But yeah, let me let me try find somebody to raid. With that, we are leaving as always. Anyways, thanks for everything. It has been quite a pleasure. We are going to see if next time I can properly be here and I can properly get myself to be here, basically, because I need to organize myself, but I don't want to do it. I hate sleeping so early, but anyways, that's my own problem. The reality is, it has been a pleasure, and probably I will try to do everything so that we get to be here. As always, thanks for all. Remember to take care of yourself. Remember to sleep well, to eat, to hydrate, to stretch also, because it is a pain when you don't stretch. I have discovered lately. Um, and yeah, whenever we can, we're getting back here. Probably tomorrow, probably not. I don't know yet. I can't predict the future. Um, so yeah. And if we don't, at the very least, we enjoyed whatever it is that happened now. As always, thanks for everything. Thanks for watching. Thanks for lurking. Thanks for watching the VOD. It has been my utmost pleasure being now. More important, we are leaving. We are raiding, as I said before, a San Albionis, who is playing games. Exactly. I don't know which one of them is, but a shooter from Roblox. Anyways, bye. Thanks for everything, people. Take care. Please take care. And remember to be happy. I almost forgot that. Goodbye.